There's a guiding principle that many Japanese parents rely on. Simple, foundational, and incredibly effective, that helps raise children who are calm, courteous, and cooperative. This principle is known as shitsuke. In Japanese, the word translates directly to discipline, but it carries a meaning that differs significantly from how the Western world often interprets discipline. Instead of focusing on punishment, consequences, or correcting behavior after it goes wrong, shitsuke centers on cultivating good habits, proper manners, and emotional regulation through ongoing teaching and modeling. When raising children, it's easy to slip into a reactive cycle. A child acts out. The parent responds with a lecture, a threat, a punishment, or a negotiation. Things quiet down briefly until the next outburst. Shitsuke completely reverses this pattern. Rather than responding after misbehavior happens, Japanese parents proactively build the behaviors they hope to see. They treat skills like sharing, patience, respect, and responsibility not as instincts a child will magically develop, but as skills that children need to be shown, given chances to practice, and gently guided through again and again. Today, we're going to break down how you can use shitsuke in your own home with 3 straightforward principles. Whether you have a toddler barely saying a handful of words or a strong-willed preschooler who questions every instruction, these principles can transform your daily interactions and create a more peaceful, structured, and cooperative environment. Let's begin with the foundation, the most influential tool used by Japanese caregivers: modeling the behaviors you want your child to adopt. 1. Model the behaviors you want to see. Japanese parents fully understand that children are, above all else, observers. Kids absorb information long before they can verbalize it. They watch, they imitate. They mimic tone, gestures, habits, and problem-solving strategies. Anyone who has spent time with a young child knows exactly how true this is. They pretend to answer the phone like you do. They repeat phrases you didn't even realize you used. They imitate your sighs, your rhythms, and yes, even your not-so-proud moments. This means that if you want a calm child, you have to embody calmness. If you want a respectful child, you must interact respectfully even when you're irritated. If you want a child who can control their volume, your volume becomes the standard. Imagine a scenario. Your child has taken a permanent marker and drawn a giant mural across the living room wall. Your instinct might be to raise your voice. What were you thinking? But with a shitsuke approach, you use this moment as an opportunity to model emotional regulation. You might say, "Wow, there's marker all over the wall. I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths before we talk about this." Then you actually pause and take those breaths, slowly and visibly, so your child sees how you deal with strong feelings. Only then do you address what happened. Not only does this decrease the likelihood of a meltdown, but it shows your child exactly what to do when they feel overwhelmed later. Now, it's important to acknowledge something. Remaining calm every time a stressful situation pops up is difficult, especially when you're tired, managing multiple responsibilities, or just having a rough day. You will lose your temper sometimes. That's normal, but even these moments can become powerful teaching opportunities. After losing your cool, you can circle back. "I'm sorry," I yelled. "I was angry about the wall, but yelling wasn't the right way for me to show that. Next time I'm going to pause and try taking deep breaths first." This does 3 crucial things. 1. It normalizes mistakes. 2. It teaches emotional repair, how to fix a rupture in a relationship. 3. It reinforces the process your child can use. Pause, breathe, repair. Modeling is essentially giving your child a living demonstration of the skills you hope they'll develop. Kids learn far more from what we do than what we say. But modeling alone isn't enough without the second principle of Shitsuke. 2. Establish clear, predictable expectations through consistent rules. One major difference between Western parenting and the Shitsuke approach is how rules are viewed. In many Western households, parents have been conditioned to feel guilty about firm boundaries. Some worry rules will limit a child's creativity or happiness. Others fear that enforcing certain expectations will make their children resent them. But here's the truth. Children thrive when expectations are predictable. Chaos doesn't feel like freedom to a child. It feels unsafe. To illustrate this, imagine starting a new job where no one tells you what time to arrive, which tasks you're responsible for, or when the team meets. You'd probably spend the entire day feeling tense and uncertain. That's exactly how children feel when household expectations are inconsistent or unclear. Rules such as, we wash hands before eating. We put toys away before bedtime. We don't run in the street aren't limitations. They are anchors. They tell your child, here's what's expected of you. You're safe. You don't have to guess. Let's look at a real example. In my home, we have a simple rule. Shoes come off the moment you walk through the door. Both adults follow this rule without exception. Because the expectation is always the same, our kids automatically follow it too. In fact, our 2.5-year-old has become the unofficial shoe monitor, greeting visitors with a cheerful hello and immediately announcing that they should remove their shoes. This is the magic of clarity and consistency. Kids move from resisting rules to owning them. They become partners in keeping the home running smoothly. But consistency is non-negotiable. If I strictly followed the shoe rule but my spouse ignored it half the time, our kids wouldn't know whether the rule applied or not. That confusion leads to testing, pushing boundaries, and bargaining. Not because the child is difficult, but because they're trying to figure out what the actual rule is. This is why all major caregivers, parents, grandparents, babysitters, should align on the essential rules. That doesn't mean every adult must run their home identically. Kids can handle different expectations in different places, especially as they get older. But for core issues such as safety, respect, and daily routines, consistency among key adults helps reduce conflict and increases cooperation dramatically. Once modeling and consistent expectations are in place, there's still one more vital element, and it's the heart of Shitsuke. 3. Focus on teaching skills, not punishing mistakes. This third principle is what separates Shitsuke from discipline systems that rely on control or consequences. Instead of jumping to "stop doing that," Japanese parents ask themselves a very specific question. What skill is my child missing right now? This shift is transformative. When your child has a meltdown in a store because you won't buy candy, they're not being intentionally difficult. They simply don't yet know how to handle disappointment. When your child refuses to share, it's not because they lack empathy. They haven't learned the skill of waiting or taking turns. When they interrupt your phone conversation over and over, they aren't being rude. They haven't mastered patience or learned how to recognize conversational cues. Once you start interpreting behaviors as missing skills, not character flaws, you respond entirely differently. Let's break down an example. A child snatching a toy from a friend. A common Western response is to scold. Don't snatch. Give that back right now. But this doesn't teach the child what to do instead. Using a Shitsuke approach, you identify the missing skill turn-taking and actively teach it. You might kneel down and say, "You really want the dinosaur? It's Tom's turn right now. You can have a turn in 1 minute." Then you help your child practice waiting. Maybe you distract them with another toy. Maybe you stay nearby and comfort them. Waiting is really hard, but your turn is coming. If your child becomes too overwhelmed, you focus first on calming them before trying to teach. No child learns a new skill in the middle of a meltdown. After the minute ends, you support the handoff. Tom's turn is finished. Now, it's Olivia's turn. You help Tom wait with the same gentle structure. Through this process, both kids learn not only how to take turns, but also how to wait, how to accept boundaries, and how to trust that their needs will be met. The incredible thing is that once children practice these skills repeatedly, the unwanted behavior naturally decreases. Snatching happens less, tantrums reduce, conflicts become easier to navigate. Because now your child isn't behaving well out of fear of punishment, they're behaving well because they know how. The missing puzzle piece: getting kids to listen the first time. Even with all these tools in place, modeling, clear expectations, and skill building, there's still one challenge that nearly every parent faces: getting their child to actually listen. You might ask them to put toys away, and they don't respond. You announce that it's time for bed, and they suddenly become fascinated by anything except preparing for sleep. You repeat yourself once, twice, 5 times, and eventually, you either do the task yourself or you resort to shouting. Most parents don't realize that there's a specific method for giving instructions that dramatically increases the likelihood that your child will listen the first time. When you phrase directions in a certain way using clear language, connection, and predictable follow-through, you create an environment where cooperation becomes the norm instead of the exception. Thank you.